Right now, let's return to Carroll County, Georgia for the bond hearing for Sarah Grace Patrick. She's the 17-year-old accused of murdering her mom and her stepdad, and she also placed the 911 call for help. Her pastor is on the stand, and she's getting emotional.
All right. Now, you said in your letter that family still comes over an hour to come to your church on Sunday.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you referencing DJ?
DJ, yes, DJ, and then DJ Junior, little DJ, and everybody still comes except, of course, Jaylee, because she lives away with her grandmother. That's a long drive, but they all actively come and consistently. Even now that Sarah Grace hasn't been able to come, they continue to come consistently.
And just for clarity, who is DJ?
Sarah Grace's father. Thank you. I want to make sure I'm clear.
No problem. Now, you indicated that you would do whatever in your letter to help in this regard with Sarah. Have you facilitated people at the court's instruction before? Over the years, multiple times, I have come to this room a couple of times and offered to facilitate any way that would, if there's any way to make the court and you feel comfortable, we'll do anything we can to facilitate. We just want to help. Y'all have a great call, and ours is to support and love. Y'all are the jury and the judges, and so anything we can do, we're willing to help, to make that happen. And coming to a close here, you indicated that Sarah still calls you while she's been incarcerated. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And when you have conversations with Sarah, are the substance of those conversations about do you believe me or anything like that?
Two things she calls. It's been two things every time. One is to thank me. Thank me for everything, and it's particularly for her dad. He's just engaged. He's growing. He's really growing his relationship with God. I can never make sense of tragedies like this. It's terrible what everybody's been through, but watching Beauty for Ashes and seeing DJ love the Lord and engage in his faith is beautiful. So she'll call me first. He came to the altar a couple of times. We've been able to pray with him recently. So there's victories that she'll call and thank me and then ask me to pray for her. And she's actually reading some books that were recommended to her that changed my mother's life. My mother was a pretty rough addict, and those books vicariously through her changed mine. And so she's reading them, and so she'll talk to me about that. So it's three things: prayer, thankfulness, and what she's reading.
All right, that's all I have for you, Ben. The state may have some questions for you. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, thanks. State?
I don't have any questions for you, Pastor. Thank you.
Okay, thank y'all.
Pastor Bonner, you've testified, so you're welcome to stay in the courtroom unless y'all think there's any other reason for him to.
He did excuse to start the session, sir.
All right, then you can remain in the courtroom if there's room.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Defense now calls Katie O'Keefe.
Katie O'Keefe. If you'll come up, just remain standing, raise your right hand once here for me. All right, if you'll raise your right hand. You swear affirm the statements given before the court today the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. You may be seated. If you would, just speak loudly and clearly into the microphone.
Yes,
okay? Thank you.
All right. Is it okay if I call you Katie?
Yeah, I prefer it.
Okay. All right, Katie. How do you know Sarah Grace?
Can we, you need that spelling? Okay.
My name's actually Caitlin.
Could you state your name?
My name's Caitlin O'Keefe, Kaitlin, O''Keefe.
All right. How do you know Sarah Grace?
I met Sarah about 3 days after all this happened with her mom and dad.
And how did you come to meet her?
I was friends with her dad. We used to play cell phone games. He told me what happened, told me that the kids didn't have any clothes, like since the house was closed off, they didn't have anything. So I've taken in a child or two in my time, so my heart broke for it, and I was like, please let me take her shopping. So I came and picked Sarah up and took her to get clothes, underwear, deodorant, your basics.
And since that time, so would that have been in February?
It was February 23rd or 4th, I believe, yeah.
Since that time, did you continue a relationship with Sarah?
Yeah, Sarah actually ended up moving in with me. It was a better situation for her. I had an extra bedroom. She came to stay with me after everything happened with her mom. She used to lay in the bed. She would cry and sob, and I'd watch her grieve.
Did you have any disciplinary problems or any type of issues with Sarah while she was at your house?
Not even one, honestly. Like, I've had some teenagers and one that gave me a hard time, and Sarah was a pleasure. She was easy.
Do you still have a friendship or any type of relationship with other members of Sarah's family?
Yes, I talked to her grandma, grandpa, her dad, and little brother live with me. I talk to Sarah every day.
So since she's been incarcerated, you've spoken to her?
Every day.
Every day. And do you all pray together as Pastor Ben indicated or anything like that?
Every day. You can't stop her from praying.
Now, are you aware if at any time during her stay with you, did she have a driver's license?
No, she had her permit, and we would go practice driving. She wasn't ready to get the license yet. She was not ready.
Safer for all of us.
Yeah.
Okay. And does she have access to her own personal vehicle that you know of?
No.
During the time that she was with you, was she attending school?
She actually worked really hard and graduated a year early.
Where was she attending?
She was going to Central here in Carrollton.
And you said she graduated early. What do you mean by that?
And she worked hard. She was on track to graduate early before all this happened. But I mean, even after this happened, like, there were some rough times. But when we found like a peaceful moment, I'd be like, let's get your schoolwork done. Let's make your mom proud by showing her you finished this. You know, and that was a big goal for Sarah.
And do you know how old Sarah is?
She's 17.
Did you know, or during the time that she was with you, did she have a job?
She did. She worked down the street at a local restaurant.
And do you know if there were any problems that you are aware of at the restaurant?
No, they loved her. They still love her. They ask about her all the time when I go up there.
Okay. I believe that's all I have for you. I don't know, the state may have some questions
All right.
for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. State, any questions?
I think I have just one for clarification. You did not know the defendant prior to the shooting, is that right?
No.
It's after that was
After.
Okay. That's what I'm
Yep.
thank you.
All right. Thank you. Can you follow up?
No.
All right. Can this witness be excused?
Yes.
All right, we're going to pause it right here. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about these witnesses. Obviously, defense witnesses that her team has brought in to try to convince the judge that she should be let out on bond. We heard the pastor, and then we heard this wonderful woman, kind of like a good Samaritan, didn't know her prior to the homicides happening, met her 3 days later, took her in, let her stay with her, bought her clothing, prayed with her. Really, really good person there. Let's bring in our legal analyst guest, attorney Holly Waltman, for some analysis now. Okay, Holly, what do you think of these defense witnesses?
Well, I definitely think it's their only shot, right?
Yeah.
You have to bring in people that are going to humanize this little girl, make her seem young. We just heard she doesn't have a car, she doesn't have a way to travel, and I think that those are nuggets that the defense is trying to plant to show the judge that she is eligible for bond, right? Because the purpose of bond is, are you going to come back to court when you're asked to? Do you have ties to the community? Do you have a stable place to live? I think one of the big challenges that the defense is going to have to hurdle is the likelihood of this defendant intimidating witnesses or influencing witnesses, right?
Yes.
Kind of the reason why we find her sitting in the defense seat to begin with.
Bingo. Bingo, Holly. Yeah. You know, let's talk some more about that. For anybody unfamiliar, you raised such a great point, Holly. This young lady is alleged to have gone on to TikTok and reached out to true crime what do you call them, vloggers or people who go on TikTok and like to talk about cases and share their thoughts and ask questions, things like that, reached out to them essentially, according to law enforcement, to try to socially engineer the court of public opinion, to make herself seem like a victim, ask for their help in finding the real killer or killers. And law enforcement alleges that, oh, it was her, and this was done to take the focus off of her. Why do you think that's going to be most concerning to this judge?
Well, this judge has to weigh the factors of bond, right, and decide, is this person likely to intimidate a witness or influence public opinion to the extent that it would make it difficult for her to get a fair trial via a jury, right? We want jurors to come in who don't know things about this case outside of the evidence that's going to be presented in court and the law that applies to it. So giving this young lady a bond, even with the conditions that she is not to use social media or try and influence anyone, we're going to kind of have to lean on to the defense witness's own statement of, you can't stop her from praying, right? You can't stop her from doing certain things. The judge is going to hear that, and it cuts both ways, right? And I think the state's going to rely on those sort of facts that really the defense even gave them in this hearing to say, judge, deny her a bond so that we can protect her right to a fair trial.
Yeah, and this is a really fascinating discussion, Holly. It really is. I mean, I'm sure you're seeing this more and more with cases as social media becomes more prevalent and popular, and everybody's got a platform, everybody's a star, everybody's famous on TikTok. You know, we're seeing that there can be influence from the court of public opinion permeating the walls of the courthouse, and that's exactly what we don't want to happen, and we've seen it happen. Let's do this. Let's hit a break. We're going to continue following this bond hearing for Sarah Grace Patrick. There are more witnesses. We're going to have the mom of her best friend and one of Sarah Grace's friends, I'm being told as well. Wow, this is really going to be something. A 16-year-old friend of hers is going to be testifying this morning. Big morning. I tell you what, Georgia is where all the action is happening today. We're also getting ready for the serial killer's daughter murder trial to start back up. What a case this is. The Flint River serial killer's daughter, Melissa, is a homicide victim, and her husband is the accused. Stay with us.
An arrest has been made in the case. Kristin Brock's 17-year-old daughter, Sarah Grace Patrick, has been taken into custody and charged with 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault in connection with the deaths of her mother and her stepfather.
What an awful case. These are the victims right here, Kristin and James Bach, 41 and 45 years old, the parents, the mother and the stepfather of this defendant, Sarah Grace Patrick, who's in court this morning asking to be let out on a bond before her upcoming homicide trial. Now, we're early in the proceedings. If you haven't followed this case, she was just arrested in July. The homicides happened in February. Don't know if she was overlooked as a suspect or not. We just know that she was not immediately arrested. She was the one who placed the 911 call after her younger sister found her parents dead in their bed. It appears they were shot to death in their sleep. And investigators allege that this young lady was behind this, and that she also went on social media to try to engineer the court of public opinion and gain sympathy for what had happened. Let's go back into the courtroom now. Her defense team is offering witnesses to support her getting out on bond. They have brought in a friend of hers, a 16-year-old. Let's watch.
And are you and Sarah friends?
Yes, ma'am.
And is Gail your mom?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, I heard your mom say that you guys went to school together. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
At East Coweta?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you gone to school together since then, or that was the last time you went to school together?
I'm going to say 9th grade, she started at East Coweta High School, and then she moved.
Is that when, do you know if that's when she moved with your mom?
I'm going to say yes.
Now, so that was 9th grade, but have you guys continued to be friends since then?
Yes, ma'am.
And when you say friends, talk to me about what that looks like. Are you guys talking on the phone?
Via Snapchat sometimes. We would call, I'd check in on her. I was never allowed over at her house.
But she was allowed at your house?
Yes, ma'am, I'd go and get her.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
I would go and get her.
Okay, you would go and get her. So you have a car?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you have a driver's license?
Yes, ma'am.
And we shouldn't be scared?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
I'm a great driver.
Okay. Now, so you guys have kept in touch over the years, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and when you guys keep in touch, what sort of things do you do?
Well, usually I'd go and get her, and then we'd go to the gas station and get something to eat. It's an hour 30 drive back home, so we'd blast music like teenagers would do, going home. And we'd go home, and I have a 2-year-old son, and we would play with him for hours until he fell asleep. And then we'd watch movies.
Okay.
That's what we do.
Now, at any time have you, well, let me ask this. Have you talked to Sarah since she's been incarcerated?
I have.
And what have those conversations been like?
Telling me she loves me. She's so thankful for me. She's excited to get to go on the jet skis again one day, have fun, be a teenager, and then we pray.
Okay. Now, are you attending church too?
I used to.
Okay. But you're not at Calvinist church?
No, ma'am.
Because
That's far.
too far.
That is far.
No problem. Now, were you in contact with Sarah after the incident happened?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you have any concerns about Sarah leaving or running or trying to get away in any way?
No.
Okay. Did she ask you to come pick her up and take her back to Alabama and hide her or anything like that?
No.
Okay. I think that's all I have for you. Thank you.
State, any questions?
I think I may just have one, Judge. When was the last time that the defendant was in Alabama at your house?
I really don't remember the date. It was the day I took her. She said she may get her phone back, and I took her that day. And then I took her to Wedowee. We were going to have a sleepover, and then we got the phone call that she needed to come back home.
Okay, so if I were to tell you that she was arrested July 9th, you would say sometime in the days just before that?
July 8th.
July 8th.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. No other
You're
questions?
welcome.
No further questions, right?
All right, any reason to hold this witness?
No, you're right.
Not understood.
All right, you may step down.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you notice that witness's shirt? These witnesses are coming in with the same shirts on to show their support for the defendant, for Sarah Grace Patrick. The shirt saying, "I stand with Sarah Patrick." We're going to hit a break. When we come back, we're going to hear from one of her attorneys. So apparently she has private counsel now. Was initially represented by an attorney with the public defender's office in Carroll County. And so these defense attorneys are calling that attorney as a witness next. You don't want to miss this. Stay with us. We'll be right back in just 4 minutes.
Coming soon to Court TV.
The Microsoft executive gunned down. Now his ex and her new husband are charged with his murder.
Brian Walsh, accused of murdering his wife, Anna.
It's very disturbing, very heart-wrenching.
A social media sensation, now a suspected killer.
Why do you have something against me?
She wrote a children's book about her husband's death. Now she's accused of killing him.
The high-stakes trials you don't want to miss. Coming soon. Only on Court TV.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Julie Grant. Let's take you back in the courtroom. We're watching the bond hearing for defendant Sarah Grace Patrick. This case gained national attention when this young lady called 911, reported her parents had been shot to death, and investigators later reported to the public that she was their #1 suspect for the murders. They not only alleged that she killed her parents, but that she then went to some TikTokers to try to influence public opinion and take the spotlight off of her. Right now, we're watching her bond hearing. Her defense team's calling a variety of witnesses. We just heard from one of her young girlfriends, and now we're about to hear from one of her girlfriend's mothers. Let's listen.
How do you know Sarah Grace?
I met Sarah after me and Kristin became friends. I was at the doctor's office and just invited her to church. And then we became really good friends.
And when you say church, are you talking about the Catalyst Church?
Yep.
Where Pastor Ben is the pastor?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you invited them to church, did they ever come?
Yeah. 2 weeks later, they came.
And did they continue to come after that?
Every Sunday.
To your knowledge, were they involved in activities throughout the week or just Sunday service?
At first, it just started as Sunday service, and then as they grew in the church, they became more involved.
Now, were you able to observe and spend time with and have a relationship with Sarah Grace personally?
Yes. Her and my daughter were friends, so I've seen them quite often.
And so, since you go to the Catalyst Church, I'm assuming you stay local, somewhere close by?
Yeah, I only stay about 2 minutes from the church.
2 minutes from the church. So, 7 minutes from here, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay. And at any point, okay, so let me ask you this. When did you meet Kristin?
It was back in August.
Okay. Of last year?
Yes.
Okay. And when you met her during that time, how often would you say that you had occasion to spend with her and Sarah?
For the beginning of the part, we just stayed on the phone mainly, and then as we grew closer, we went to birthday parties and cookouts and that sort of thing. So, I mean, it was a few times.
But would you agree that most of the times you spent was at church?
Yes.
Now, did you hear Pastor Ben testify?
A little bit.
Okay, a little bit. He indicated that he and the church would be willing to facilitate Sarah in any way if Judge Hightower were to give her a bond. Do you share that sentiment?
I agree.
And would you be willing to be a part of Sarah's village to help facilitate her here in Carrollton in some way?
I've already been a part of it, so I'm not going to stop now.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
State, any questions?
Nothing for this.
All right, you're good. Any reason to hold the witness?
No, you're not.
Nothing to say?
You can be excused.
My last witness is Ms. Shavina Rogers.
Attorneys, can y'all approach just a minute? Give me just 1 second. You're good. Come on up. Just had to ask a question. If you would raise your right hand for me. You swear affirm the statements given before the court today, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. You may be seated. And if you would, same as the others, once you're seated, just state your name and spell it from a court reporter, please.
My name is Shavina Rogers, spelled S-H-A-V-E-E-N-A. Last name Rogers, R-O-G-E-R-S.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Rogers, how are you employed?
I'm employed by the state of Georgia at the Georgia Public Defender Council.
And what's your job title?
I'm a criminal defense investigator.
And are you a criminal defense investigator for me in my office?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And have you been working on this case at my direction?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, do you recall me asking you to run a GCIC on Sarah Grace Patrick?
Yes.
And would you briefly explain what a GCIC is?
GCIC is a Georgia Criminal Investigation Center, and it's ran by the GBI, the Georgia Borough Crime System. And what I do is for each client, I run their CCH, client or witnesses of each case, I run their CCH, and that's their computerized criminal history.
Okay. And did you do that for this case?
I did.
Okay, so let me back up here. I want to correct some information. So we were under the impression this was an attorney with the public defender's office who previously represented her. Incorrect. She's still being represented by the public defender's office. This witness is an investigator. So the PD's office employs investigators to go and work these cases and assist them at trial. So we have yet to hear what she is saying, but I want to get some thoughts from our legal analyst guest before we have to let her get off to court. Criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor Holly Waltman in the studio. Okay, Holly, so this defense investigator, what's it like, you know, when you have investigators work with you on cases, and what do you think this witness might be able to offer that could be helpful here in the bond hearing?
Yeah, so totally, Julie, on both sides, we have investigators looking into the facts surrounding a case, either to prove or disprove something is true. I think that this witness is being presented so that the judge can hear that she doesn't have any criminal history, right? She has no tendency to commit felonies if given the opportunity to be on bond, right? Bond is a privilege, and one of the things that this judge is having to consider is this person likely to commit a felony if I do give her a bond? And so I think that this is a fact witness to show that this defendant doesn't have criminal history outside of the allegations that brings her in court today, to show that she is not going to commit felonies if given a bond.
Right. Great explanation, Holly. Tell me, your prediction. What do you think is going to happen here ultimately with this hearing?
So I think we can see kind of hints. The state is not asking many questions of these witnesses. Therefore, I don't believe that the state feels that they are persuading the court in order to give a bond. I think that this defendant is likely to be denied bond because it's the first time they're asking, it's early in the case, and the tendency to intimidate witnesses or influence outside opinion is too great. So I think that that is the way that this judge will deny this bond.
I think you were spot on. As per usual, Holly Waltman, great having you in the studio. Come back again soon, please. We'll let you go for now. And friends at home, go get some more coffee. We're not done with this bond hearing. We're getting word that one of the victim's sisters is up next. This is a live look at her. My gosh. So the victims, Kristin and James Brock. This is Jamie's sister. I'm being told on the stand. That's next. Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Julie Grant. What a Tuesday morning it is today, and lots of action in particular going on in the state of Georgia. That is where we have the serial killer's daughter murder trial. So if you're not familiar with this one, the Flint River serial killer Carl Patton, his daughter Melissa Wolfenbarger has been murdered. And the question is, who did it? Was it her husband, the defendant, Christopher Wolfenbarger, the guy on trial? Or is it her dad, the infamous serial killer who's dead? That trial is going on, and we've got it streaming live for you on courttv.com. We also have our cameras in the courtroom in Carroll County, Georgia, where a very young defendant who has gotten a lot of notoriety for her case, Sarah Grace Patrick, is going before the judge asking for a bond. That's right. She's presented several witnesses today, all of them coming in wearing T-shirts saying, "I stand with Sarah Patrick." They're saying that she is prayerful, and we can see she is very tearful. She's being accused of murdering her mother and her stepfather. Okay, and we have her stepfather's sister on the stand as the state's first witness. Let's watch.
Yes. Can you go ahead and tell us how you related to this case?
Jamie is my brother, my only brother I have left, my only sibling I have had.
And The judge said, you take your time. What do you think the judge needs to know about what's going on with you and your family?
I have something to read. Your Honor, my name is Kim Bowling, and I'm Jamie's sister. I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. Since this tragic day, my brother Jamie and his wife Kristin were taken from us, I have become their voice as they no longer have one. I would like to share how this brutal tragedy has affected me. I not only lost my brother, but also my sister-in-law in the most horrific way imaginable. Every night I lie awake, unable to sleep, haunted by the thought of what my brother Jamie and Kristin might have experienced in those final moments. With the possibility that they were awake when the defendant entered their room with a gun, and I imagine their terror in their final breaths. The defendant is charged with the brutal murders of my brother, Jamie, and my sister-in-law while they were lying in their bed. Shot multiple times, including both shot in the head. Just give me 1 second.
Mr. Parrish, can you talk about that right there? Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
My 5-year-old niece was then woke up to find their parents lifeless. The trauma this innocent child will carry for the rest of her life is unfathomable. And what makes this even more heartbreaking is that her sister loved the defendant. She looked up to her, and for reasons I will never understand, the defendant caused such imaginable pain. And I'm so thankful that Jaylee's life was spared. With all of this in mind, I am deeply concerned about Jaylee's safety should the defendant be released on bond. Jamie and Kristin had turned their lives around. They were actively involved in church, had found happiness, and were living a great life. They did not deserve what happened to them. I ask you, please consider the following factors when deciding whether to grant a bond. My first concern is flight risk. The defendant has financial resources provided by the immediate family, which would enable her to flee. Her family maintains that she is innocent, and given her manipulative behavior, I believe she may attempt to flee. Second concern is witness intimidation. The defendant has shown a pattern of intimidation towards family members and others with knowledge of the crime. I fear that if she's released, she will continue this behavior to silence anyone who could testify against her. My third concern is evidence. The brutality of these murders is not in dispute. My family and I have seen the death certificates, and although we are not aware of exactly how many shots were fired, we do know that there were multiple gunshots to both Jamie and Kristin. Personal safety. If the defendant can kill her own parents in such a violent manner, I fear for my own safety and the safety of my family and friends. The possibility that she could harm us is terrifying, and I urge you to consider this in your decision. I believe in our support, and I support our justice system and the hard work of Carroll County Sheriff's Office and investigators. And most importantly, I'm a Christian who believes in Jesus Christ. My prayer is that justice will be served for Jamie and Kristin, and their bond will be denied for the defendant, as she has shown that she is capable of extreme violence and manipulation. Thank you again for giving me the opportunity to speak and share my concerns. Thank you, Your Honor.
Nothing else for this witness?
No questions.
Any reason for me to hold this witness?
No, you
Thank you. You may step down. Steve.
Our next witness is going to be Kristin Brock.
Mr. Brock, you'll raise your right hand. You swear or affirm the statements given before this court today with the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. You'll be seated and speak loudly and clearly in that microphone. Let's start with your name and then spell it for me, okay?
Yes, sir. My name is Kristin Brock, TRYSTENBROCK.
Mr. Brock, how are you related to this case?
I am James's oldest son.
And what do you think the judge needs to hear?
Yes, sir, I put together a statement for you. Good afternoon, Your Honor. My name is Kristin Brock. I am James's oldest son. First, I wanted to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak today. I am here to share with the court how my life has been affected by this heinous crime. Your Honor, it feels like I'm living in a nightmare. I'm depressed. I struggle to sleep. I can't even walk through my own living room without seeing his urn and be reminded of everything all over again. I miss my father deeply. I wish I could see him again. I wish he could have met his grandson. And above all, I wish I could just hear his voice one more time. But instead now, what I have is an urn that represents memories we made and the countless memories that will never be. As a little boy, I believed my dad was the strongest Superman, that no matter what happened, he would always be there. But that belief, that dream, is now a shattered illusion. And instead of healing, I find myself reliving the shock, pain, and confusion every single day. I haven't even been able to begin to grieve. Before you make your decision regarding bond, I respectfully ask that you consider several critical factors. First and foremost, I believe the defendant poses a serious flight risk. Her family has significant financial resources and a wide support network, both of which could easily be used to help her evade law enforcement if she were released. These are not speculative concerns. They are grounded in the reality of her background and the means available to her. Additionally, based on her past behavior and what I know of her personally, I do not believe she has the integrity or accountability required to face the consequences of her actions. She has shown a willingness to avoid responsibility, and in my opinion, she would absolutely attempt to flee rather than stand trial if given the opportunity. In addition to the risk of flight, I am deeply concerned for the safety of my family. The gruesome and violent details of this case have shown me that the defendant has a disturbing lack of regard for human life. If someone is capable of what happened here, then I cannot ignore the real possibility that she could pose a threat to those of us left behind, especially if she were released on bond. This case has already caused immense pain and trauma to my family. The thought of the defendant walking free, even temporarily, only adds to our fear, anxiety, and inability to begin healing. In closing, I just want to say that this loss has left a permanent void in my life and in the lives of everyone who loved my father. He was more than a victim of a terrible crime. He was my father, a husband, a man trying to grow, to change, to build a better life. His death has caused unimaginable pain, and the emotional weight of this tragedy is something I carry with me every single day. All I ask is that the court considers this deep impact that this has had on our family and the ongoing fear, grief, and trauma we continue to live with. I speak today not out of anger, but out of heartbreak, hoping that justice will honor the life my father lived and the future he was fighting for. I urge the court to take all this in account when determining bond and to prioritize the safety of the community and the integrity of these proceedings. Thank you for giving me the chance to be heard.
I don't have any other questions for you.
No questions.
All right, any reason me to hold this witness?
No, yeah.
All right, you may step down. Thank you.
Wow, how about how these family members refer to Sarah Grace as the defendant? The defendant. You can tell there's no love lost here. So very different pictures being painted by the two sides. Very different pictures. We had a very positive, prayerful type individual being portrayed by the defense, and then here, with these first two state witnesses, a very manipulative, dangerous person being portrayed. So who is Sarah Grace Patrick? Let's ask our law enforcement guest to weigh in on that. Claudia King with us this morning. Claudia, great to see you. What do you think the answer to that question is? What type of picture do you have in your mind about this defendant?
The picture that I have is of this manipulative individual who is out for herself. She could also be prayerful and these other things that her witnesses talked about. People don't necessarily always fit into one box as we would like them to. But what I really liked about what these first two state witnesses did was they didn't just say, we want her to stay in jail because we're angry, we're hurt. They brought actual factual information and relevant information for the judge to consider, such as being a flight risk, witness intimidation, things like that. So I think that was great on their part.
Claudia, great points you're making there. Thank you. So we have another witness coming up that is going to be, this is a letter being introduced by Jamie's son. That is what's going to be coming in next. So apparently he has a 12-year-old son who is in the courtroom. Our producer, John, is telling us, but not quite ready to address the court, and who could blame him, right? He's very young. So that is what's coming up next. And also want to back up for just a moment because I got a question from Amy on Twitter, or on X, I still call it Twitter. A great question from Amy said, what did the defense investigator say you didn't show it? And that was because our producing team thought it'd be best for time's sake to cut that, since she was only up there for about 2 minutes total, and just said that Sarah Grace has no rap sheet. So her job on behalf of the defense attorneys was to pull any criminal history to see if Sarah Grace has a history of crimes as a juvenile, and she does not. So that was all that came in through that witness. There was nothing wild that was uncovered, but so you know, that's what you didn't see, and that is what happened. So we'll hit pause. When we come back, we will hear that letter written by victim Jamie Brock's 12-year-old son that he has left behind.
This week.
Did Donna Adelson orchestrate the murder of her former son-in-law? We'll get you ready for the start of the matriarch mastermind murder trial.
Opening statements with Julie Grant. Mornings at 8/7 Central on Court TV.
Are you not entertained? Friday nights, the WNBA is on ION. The Lynx battle the Feet. Thrills it. Then, the Valkyries take on the Mercury. Coverage begins Friday night at 7. Find ION wherever you watch. ION, it's on.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Julie Grant. Let me show you the cases we're tracking for you right now. In Florida, jury selection underway in the trial for Donna Adelson. She's accused of conspiring with her son Charlie to kill her daughter Wendy's ex-husband Danny Markell. In Georgia, we've got the state's case continuing in the killer's daughter murder trial for defendant Christopher Wolfenbarger. We are live streaming this trial for you right now. You can go to our website if you want to see that. And also in Georgia, teenager Sarah Grace Patrick with a bond hearing right now. This young lady's accused in the shooting deaths of her mother and her stepfather. And right now, we have her stepfather's 12-year-old son issuing a letter to the court regarding the bond that's going to be read by another family relative. Let's go in.
Your Honor, I'm speaking this morning on behalf of the 12-year-old son of Jamie Brock. He is not able to emotionally speak in front of people. He is here in the courtroom today. And so I'm just going to read you what he wrote, okay? My name is Jaden Brock, and I am 12 years old. I wanted to talk today because my dad and stepmom was shot and killed. I miss him every day. My dad was my hero and the person I looked up to the most. We did everything together. He helped me with school, and he always made me laugh, and we joked around a lot. Since he died, everything has changed. I feel sad and confused. It's hard to sleep, it's hard to focus, and it's even hard to smile sometimes. I still wait to hear his voice or see him walk through the door, but I know that will never happen again. What makes me more sad is I trusted Sarah and I loved her like a sister. Why would she do this to me? And why would she hurt everyone like this? I don't understand why someone would do this, but I know it is not right. My dad and Kristin didn't deserve this. No one does. And I don't think someone who could do something like this should be allowed to go free right now. I wouldn't feel safe, and I would be so scared. Please think about what my family is going through. I hope you make a decision that protects us and remembers who my dad was. A good man, a loving dad who didn't deserve to die. Thank you for listening to me. And that's his statement.
Thank you.
I don't have any other questions.
Ms. Byrne, how are you related to the family or this situation?
I am not related to the family. I grew up with Kim, and I've known Jamie since he was 2.
Okay, friends with Kim and Jamie?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you present when that statement was written, or was it just handed to you?
No, I was not present, no. It was written by Jaden, his mom, and Kim helped. I was just asked to read it.
Okay. And they told you that he prepared it?
Yes.
And you would agree with me that nothing in the letter says that Sarah Grace was a threat to Jaden when they were living together?
He never expressed that to me, ma'am. I would agree with that.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Nothing else.
Do you reason to hold this witness, even though she's speaking on someone else's behalf?
Not in this case.
All right, you can step down. Thank you.
No other witnesses for the state judge only argument.
All right. I'm ready for argument.
Thank you. Just to kind of round out the record a little bit, we're talking about the incident that occurred February 20th of 2025. The arrest date of the defendant was July 9th of 2025. Since we are operating under 1511-560, that's the concurrent and original jurisdiction in Superior Court, the individual charged in this case was a minor at the time. The rules dictate a specific time frame for us. We have 180 days to indict this case where it goes back to juvenile court. We have 90 days to indict, or a bond is required, same as any other defendant here. Judge, we are looking at Iology State, that's 262 Georgia 704, And in that case, the court has given us some guidelines as to what we should be looking at in regards to issuing a bond in this case that was codified in 1761 as well. First is that the defendant poses no significant risk of fleeing from the jurisdiction of the court or failing to appear when required. Judge, we've heard from multiple witnesses that flight is a concern for the family. There are considerable assets on the other side of the victim's family. One thing that the court is permitted to consider in regards to flight, and really in all the factors, is the seriousness of the offense. Coleman v. State, that's C-O-L-E-M-O-N v. State. That's a 361 Georgia App 901. It's a 2021 case, but it cites all the way back to the mid-70s that it is absolutely acceptable for the court to consider the seriousness of the offense. Because we don't just have a murder case here. We don't just have a double homicide. We have a double homicide of the defendant's mother and stepfather. I don't know that cases get more serious than what we are looking at here. That's something that you should consider for each of the 4 IR factors. As pertains to flight, there was testimony that flight is a concern for the victim's family. It's a concern for the state as well. This defendant has moved around quite a bit over the past few years. She has roots here in Carroll County, no doubt. She also has roots in Coweta. She has roots all over the state and in Alabama. Number 2, the defendant poses no significant threat or danger to any person, to the community, or to any property in the community. The family is genuinely afraid. I've met with a significant number of the family already. I'll be meeting with just about everybody else later on this afternoon. The family is genuinely afraid on the Brock side of the family tree. They are fearful that she will reach out. They're fearful for their own safety and the safety of all the other members of that family. The defendant poses no significant risk of committing any felonies pending trial. I'm going to talk about that here in a minute, but I think there is some inherent risk in that as well. One of those felonies ties into that significant threat or danger to any person. If she is to lash out violently at one of the other family members, that would be a felony. Number 4 is the defendant poses no significant risk of intimidating witnesses or otherwise obstructing the administration of justice. And it was pointed out that there is concern that the defendant would be able to influence, I'm going to use the term influence instead of intimidating, influence the 6-year-old who is a primary witness to this case. There's significant concern from the state in that regard. There's significant concern from the family members in that regard. We've heard terms like manipulation, lack of integrity, lack of accountability. Those are terms that we heard here in court today, and that is in line with what we've heard about this defendant all along. When we started, you said this is a simple application of the law. That's what we're talking about here. The state has shown that there is a significant flight risk. We've heard that from witnesses in regards to that aspect of IALA. Significant threat or danger to the community, particularly them. Risk of intimidating witnesses, and that significant risk of committing any felony. That would include influencing a 6-year-old. That would include reaching out and threatening family members. That may, depending on the circumstances, include flight to another county or another state. We just think that at this point, this defendant is a poor candidate for bond, and bond should be denied as such.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay, so before we get to the defense arguments, we see the state making a point that this is a dangerous young lady, not a proper candidate for bond, that the family has serious concerns about their own safety. They've testified that she could be manipulative, and has her aunt said that she's shown a pattern of manipulation towards family members with respect to this case. We also know that multiple gunshots were inflicted on each of the victims. Again, we don't know if Sarah Grace did it, but if she did do it, you can see why the state is saying she would be a danger to the community if set free. We'll see what her attorneys say. She is 17 years old, but charged as an adult. We'll get the arguments live next. Welcome back to Court TV Live. We're in Georgia for the bond hearing for defendant Sarah Grace Patrick. This 17-year-old is accused of murdering her mother and her stepfather. We know that Kristin and Jamie Brock were shot to death in their sleep in their home, and it was their younger daughter who found them. And then it was this daughter, the defendant, who called 911. And officials say she also reached out to others on social media to try to gain sympathy for what they say were her crimes. Now, let's go back in and hear what her defense team has to say about why she should be let out of jail.
Thank you, Judge. I will respond in turn to the state's argument and then go into what it is that we have specifically for Sarah Grace. As it relates to the seriousness of the offense, we agree that the offenses are serious. What's happened here is a tragedy on both sides. And while that is something for the court to consider, it is not one of the IAO factors. We understand that the state has brought the Brock family here to voice their concerns. But what is particularly alarming to me is that they have not considered the Nolan side of the family, which would have been Kristin's family. And Kristin's family sits in support of Sarah Grace. And so there are two victims here. While there are victims on the Brock side of the family who voice their concerns for their safety, there are victims of family members who are on the Nolan side of the family who have not voiced that same concern. As a matter of fact, they're here in support of her and willing to have her live with them. The grandfather, who is Kristin's father, Sarah Grace's father, that all can live, Sarah Grace can live with them. Multiple people have said that Sarah Grace was invited into their home and they're not even family. So they're willing to have her be a part of their household. With that being said, as far as the influence or threat of influence, as the state puts it, of the 6-year-old sibling of Sarah Grace, there are means for the court to avoid that contact. If the child, I don't even know that the child is 6. I think the child may still be 5 and have not yet turned 6. But I don't know this, but there's not a cell phone for a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old. The court could restrict that contact just like the court does in any other case where there is alleged to be some witness where there could be influence. The court could say, I order that there is no contact between Sarah Grace and her younger sibling or any of her siblings for that matter. That can be remedied if that is in fact a concern for the court. What we have shown through our witnesses, Your Honor, is that Sarah Grace does in fact meet the requirements of the statute, and that the court shall be authorized to release a person on bail if they find that they pose no significant risk of fleeing the jurisdiction of the court or failing to appear in court when required, no significant threat or danger to any person in the community or any property, no significant risk of committing any felony pending trial, and no risk of intimidating witnesses no significant risk of intimidating witnesses or otherwise obstructing the administration of justice. As it relates to the financial resources of the family, there has been no testimony as to what those resources are, just that the Rock family believes that the Nolan family or Kristin's family has these grand resources in some regard that could assist Sarah Grace in being a flight risk. If that were the case, Your Honor, again, I remind the court that the incident took place in February and she had gone to visit the Jensen household in Alabama between that February and July time period. If, for some reason, there was to be this enlightenment that I should run There was ample opportunity at that time. Caitlin testified that Sarah Grace had never asked her to hide her or take her to Alabama permanently or anything like that. In addition, there was testimony as well as documents for the court admitted into evidence that Sarah Grace does not have a driver's license and that it would be better if she not drive. And she doesn't have her own personal vehicle or access to a car. And so the flight risk for a 17-year-old at this stage with no driver's license and no meaningful way to get around in that regard to be this significant flight risk, I think just isn't met. As it relates to a threat or danger to any person in the community, nobody indicated that Sarah Grace was a threat or a danger prior to this incident happening. And what we know is that hindsight is 20/20, and they're looking back on what they believe happened. And we assert Sarah Grace's innocence, and she is presumed to be innocent as she sits before the court. Is that they're looking back saying if she's capable of doing this, then she must be a threat. But that does not muster what is required to be a significant threat or danger. There's no indication that she has access to any firearms further. The court could order that she not have access or touch or be around or in the home with any firearms or anything like that. As it relates to a significant risk of committing any felony pending trial, that is typically put into the mix when there is a significant criminal history. Investigator Rogers testified that there was no criminal history before Sarah was arrested for these crimes, and there was there was documentation as to the GCIC that was admitted in defense bond exhibit 1. In addition to that, Your Honor, she poses no significant risk of intimidating witnesses or otherwise obstructing the administration of justice, other than Ms. Brock's feeling that she may be an intimidation to the 6-year-old. There's been no evidence, no testimony about there being any type of intimidation that has gone forward from this. Just that they believe she may be manipulative. And I understand that emotions are high, and that's what the Brock family believes. But again, I remind the court that the Brock family is not the only victim's family. There is the Nolan family as well, who do not share those same sentiments.
Okay, there are the defense arguments. So what will the judge do? We're going to find out together live on the other side of the break.
Matriarch of the Adelson family gets arrested.
Terrible. Donna Adelson is facing charges of murder, the death of her former son-in-law, Dan Markell.
Prosecutors say a bitter child custody battle was the motive for the murder-for-hire plot. Now that Donna has turned into a defendant, what's next for the Adelson clan?
Now that the ship is really sinking fast, blood doesn't matter that much.
The Matriarch Mastermind murder trial. Live coverage begins this week, only on Court TV.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. The court has taken the testimony of the witnesses, heard the arguments from the lawyers, and now it's time to get the judge's ruling on bond for defendant Sarah Grace Patrick.
On a motion for bond, defense has a burden of coming forward initially with evidence to show that the defendant does not pose a significant risk of fleeing, threatening the community, committing another crime, or intimidating a witness. And then it is the state has the burden of persuasion in convincing this court that the defendant is not entitled to pretrial release. The state has the burden of proving by a preponderance of the evidence that the trial court should deny bail or bond. And there's a vast difference in beyond a reasonable doubt in preponderance of the evidence. Preponderance of the evidence is essentially greater than 50%, or it's just a greater likelihood than the other side. that is vastly different than beyond a reasonable doubt at trial. And I need everyone to understand that. My job is to evaluate the witnesses, weigh their credibility as they testify before me, and apply what the witnesses have said and apply their credibility to the law the best I can. Make sure that I've covered what I needed to and what I've heard from several folks. All right. With that being said, and listening to the witnesses here, if I weigh these witnesses' testimonies and I weigh what I hear today, I believe those closest, and I say closest, in family relationship, expressed that they had vast concerns that she would have the ability to flee, that she would be a danger to the community, that she would be a danger to them, that she would pose a significant risk of intimidating, or actually I think the state steered away from intimidating or influencing or manipulating witnesses. By finding that, I find the state has met their burden today by a preponderance of the evidence. And Miss Patrick, because of that, I'm bound by the law, and I do not believe that you would be a proper candidate for bond at this time. With that being said, here's what I want to tell you. Very recently, the Judicial Council of Georgia recognized our court as being a clearance rate excellence award recipient, which means that we are very up to date on our cases and we take great pride in moving cases quickly. I do not want anyone to sit in jail unnecessarily. So what I would like to do is go ahead and give you future court dates. And I'll explain this, Ms. Williams, a little bit, because again, I know you're new to being in front of me, but I would like to go ahead and give you some future dates for your case. Obviously, your case has to be indicted first. All right, that's the first process. Do we know when this case will go in front of the grand jury?
I'll be presenting it to the grand jury this afternoon.
All right. If the grand jury chooses to indict you, right, that would be to true bill the case. That means the case goes forward. If they choose to no bill it, then we'll cross that bridge. But if they choose to true bill, then your case will go forward. And I'll ask the clerk which would be the next available arraignment that we could place her on. All right, so, and that's not the probation counter, correct? All right, so your arraignment, if true bill, okay, I'm just giving you a plan of action so that you know what's coming up, okay? If they true bill this case, your arraignment date will be 9/22. On that date, your non-jury will be 11/17. Your calendar call will be 12/16, and I will be prepared to try your case on January 5th. All right? Now, that's incredibly fast. State and defense. I'm completely aware that y'all may ask for a continuance based on those time frames. I'll need y'all to do that formally. There's a lot of interest in this case from both sides, and defense was right. Justice needs to be done, and no matter what decision was made, someone is going to feel as though justice was not served today. That's just the truth. If I would have granted bond, there would have been a large group that said justice was not done. If I deny bond as I'm doing today, there's going to be a large group that says justice was not done. That I can't avoid. But what I can do is give this young lady.
What a great judge. The Honorable Dustin Hightower, a very seasoned lawyer, once a prosecutor, also once a state lawmaker, explaining the standard, the legal standard he had to apply today, considering the facts, and then also noting something really key with criminal procedure here. He said the state is going to be presenting this case to the grand jury this afternoon, and if the grand jury issues what they call a true bill, meaning the case goes on forward, then he's already looking at the calendar, and he's letting this defendant know that he'll be ready to proceed for trial as early as January the 5th. That is speedy. So he's letting her know, essentially, while I'm denying your bond today, there is some light at the end of the tunnel, perhaps for you, in that we will get this case on the docket as quickly as possible should the grand jury indict you for these alleged crimes. So let's talk about that. Let me bring in our law enforcement expert guest, Claudia King, watching along, seeing the judge's decision, and hearing him say that, Claudia, it was a good reminder, I think, for all of us that, okay, wait, this case is at such an early stage. The proper procedure next is take it to the grand jury to get it from magistrate court up to big court to go before the pettit jury, the type of juries we see hearing the cases that we broadcast all the time. So tell me, do you think there's going to be any problem with the issuance of the true bill after that presentation today?
It doesn't seem like there will be a problem, and I know that we haven't really seen a lot of evidence, actually, and so it will be very telling, but based on what we do know so far, I don't think that there will be an issue getting that true bill this afternoon, perhaps even.
Right, Claudia, because we're talking probable cause, right? We're not talking about beyond a reasonable doubt. Just, is that enough? When you served as a police officer, that's what you're working with. Does it look like the defendant committed these crimes? Was there, in fact, a crime committed? Well, we certainly know 2 horrible crimes. What are the pieces of evidence that point to her being the most likely person that did this? So low threshold could be accomplished with even just 1 witness sometimes. That being said, I want to ask you too, Claudia, in the meantime, she's going to stay in jail. What do you think would be best case scenario for her in the jail in terms of any services that could perhaps be afforded to her?
You know, just based on the little bit of information that I've seen, therapy would be extremely helpful for her right now. Whether she committed this crime or not, it seems like she has been through quite a lot in her childhood, parents divorcing, custody back and forth, seemed very heated between her parents at times. So therapy, I think, will be key. What will be even more key, though, is for her not to talk to anybody. That's where we see a lot of issues happen. People are in jail and they just start to talk about the crime. They meet this new best friend that they want to share with. So I would say to not say a word while she's in jail and just wait for the evidence to come out in court.
Excellent analysis and advice, Claudia. You're right. She needs to zip the lips and let the attorneys do their job. Her counsel, well, they did a great job today. I have to say the defense put on a great case on her behalf for bond, but it is denied. We'll leave it there for now.